We've seen countless films follow the formula of having protagonists picked off one by one. In 2000, Final Destination used this formula to pick off characters one by one after they were able to cheat death. Most slasher films are built around this premise, like the Halloween and Scream franchises. This formula has the advantage of creating unique death scenes and also naturally allowing decent pacing. The issue sometimes, though, is that in doing this, the directors put too many horror cliches in these movies. And that's exactly what happened in the 2024 film, Tarot. Tarot seems to be a blend of Final Destination, Ouija, and various slasher films. The film is rated PG-13, which shows it's clearly targeted to a younger audience. The movie relies heavily on jump scares, and like many horror movies, the protagonists make mistake after mistake. The movie begins with a group of college friends hanging out at an Airbnb outside Boston. The group is doing what we would expect college kids to be doing, drinking beer and sitting around talking. It's soon discovered that they're out of beer, and the group ponders what to do next. Just 10 minutes into the movie, and we've already got a massive flaw in the plot. First off, a trash can is shown with dozens of beer bottles, yet everyone appears to be pretty sober. No one is slurring their words, and everyone seems to be quite tame considering how much of alcohol they've consumed. Even considering that college students have high alcohol tolerance, the group seems to be acting more like young adults than drunk college kids. After realizing the group is out of alcohol, they decide to start searching the property for more booze. I'm not sure why anyone would think alcohol would be stored in an Airbnb, but it seems much more likely college kids would make a beer run if they needed more alcohol. Still, after looking through several cabinets, they decide to break into a cellar that is padlocked with a sign, "Keep Out." As they head downstairs and start searching, lead character Haley stumbles across a deck of tarot cards. They're very old and hand-painted. She reveals the golden rule of tarot at that time, that you shouldn't read someone else's cards. Still, the issue with tarot cards in general is they're not really associated with the paranormal as much as other cursed or haunted objects. Simply stated, there's few, if any, legitimate supernatural stories involving tarot cards. The film tries to follow the same path here as Ouija, the 2014 film Ouija and its 2016 sequel, Ouija Origin of Evil. Those were better suited for this because of what Ouija boards can do. Based on numerous stories, these boards seem to be able to open a door or portal, and sometimes things come out we would rather not. Visit any comment section of Ouija stories on YouTube, and you'll see the comments littered with experiences. In contrast to Ouija boards, tarot cards and astrology in general is a tough subject to make scary. Coming back to the movie, Elise, who is celebrating her birthday, convinces Haley to do readings for everyone. Haley, even though just a novice, should know better, but obliges and one by one starts reading for each of her friends. The readings aren't very memorable, and as they proceed, she eventually reaches her ex-boyfriend Grant. The tension between them is still there, and after his reading, soon everyone heads to bed. Fast forward to the next day, and we see the group heading back toward college. The group splits into two cars, Grant, Lucas, and Paxton in one, and the girls in the other. On the way back, we learn Paxton is an avid true crime fan, and the group begins listening to a scary podcast. After stopping at a gas station, Lucas goes inside and wins $700 from a scratch-off ticket. Recall, Lucas was told by Haley that he would come into some money. The trio seems to forget what Haley told Lucas, and the group heads home. Admittedly, at this point, it's not concerning that Lucas won the money, and with so many predictions made for so many people, some were bound to come true. The film then shifts to the students back on campus. It begins with Elise, who is talking on the phone with Paige in her dorm. The dorm is abandoned that night, with many of the girls at a fraternity party. Sitting on her bed, Elise hears a loud bang out in the hall. For some reason here, Elise makes the classic mistake of ending her call with Paige. This makes no sense on many levels. What Elise should be doing here is keeping Paige on the line and telling her that if she doesn't give the okay, call the police immediately. She could even yell out her plan and let a potential intruder know. As Elise opens the door and looks down the hall, she sees the noise was from a ladder that slammed into the floor from the attic. Much is wrong here for many reasons, and it's evident a kill is coming. For some reason, the hall is dimly lit and looks nothing like a woman's dormitory. It looks like a hallway from an old Victorian mansion. As Elise investigates the attic, she soon sees her card lit around by candles. Her card is the High Priestess, and predictably, Elise comes face to face with the evil entity itself. She falls down the ladder, gravely injuring herself. The entity then drops the ladder, putting her out of her misery. The next day we see the group together, mourning the death of Elise. They don't make any connections to the cards, and as far as they know, the death was simply an accident. The group splits up, and Lucas decides to take the train home at night. Once he arrives at the train station, he begins to get chased by the card he drew, the Hermit. He enters a restricted area, and soon once again, the entity kills. There's quite a bit wrong with this scene. For one, where was everyone at the train station? Also, why was the door to the restricted area unlocked? There's quite a few plot holes here, and now 2 of the group are dead. The next day, we see the group once again. There's a clear sense now of panic and dread. Haley puts together the deaths are connected to the game somehow. Some group members are skeptical, but regardless, Haley decides they need to consult an expert on the matter. She goes online right then and finds a woman named Alma Ostron. They try calling her, but Alma doesn't pick up, so the group heads and drives 3 hours to her home. Once they arrive, after some convincing, Haley tells Alma that they're being targeted after playing with some tarot cards. We see Alma immediately freak out and know the specific cards she's talking about. Alma goes on to tell the group that the cards are linked to an 18th century astrologer. The woman's child was hanged, and the astrologer ultimately went to the dark side. She tells the group they must destroy the cards, and that's the only chance they have to survive. The group then heads back toward campus, and on the way there, on a bridge, their car dies. Madeline, who drew the hangman card, freaks out and gets out of the car, beginning running away. She is soon attacked and hung off the bridge. At this point, Haley, Grant, and Paige head back to the mansion. When they arrive, they try and burn the tarot cards, but to their shock, the cards will not burn. Soon Alma arrives and attempts to contact the entity. She is soon killed, and the group, terrified, scatter around the home. Eventually Paige meets her foe, the magician, and he saws her in half, bringing back memories of the cult classic Leprechaun 3. In the final scene, Grant is being dragged away by the card he drew, the devil. But Haley is giving a reading to the astrologer, and the card of death is drawn. This kills the astrologer, and she disintegrates in the air. In the final scenes, we see Paxton arriving and explaining how he survived. He was attacked in the elevator and about to be slaughtered, but his roommate opened the elevator, and it changed his fortune. And that's really one of the main themes of the movie, fortune. In particular, you can change your fortune. We saw earlier in the movie Haley reminiscing about her mother dying. The cards always told her that her mom would die, and there was nothing she could do about it. She holds that belief throughout the movie, and doesn't believe one can change their fortune. As the movie concludes, though, Haley has changed her opinion on the matter, and believes one's fate is undetermined. Unfortunately, the fate of this movie has sealed one thing, and that is that there will be no sequel.